Call the Board of Works to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Scott, would you start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nina, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Lynch?
Here.
Member Collins? Member Lewis? Here. Member Sonity?
Here.
Member Williams?
Here.
We have the approval of the April 13th. Let's do those separately. April 13th minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2021 meeting.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the April 13th minutes. Is there any discussion, corrections? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll need a motion to approve the May 4th minutes.
No,
And I corrected that. We're going to do those next meeting. That way there was just
the
two.
27th.
27th. I updated.
Okay, all right, sorry.
That's
Unfinished business, the release of the maintenance bond with Twilla Development. Dan?
Excuse me, Mayor.
Hold on.
We have to approve the minutes of the 27th.
Oh, all right, okay, hold on, Dan, a minute.
I'll wait patiently.
We have to approve the minutes from April 27th, sorry.
That's right. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 27th, 2021 BOW meeting.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Steve, seconded by Jamie. Is there any discussion or corrections? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Sorry, Dan.
That's okay, Mayor. Thank you. So, under the release of maintenance bond, I've been working with the attorney for Twilla Development for quite some time on this, as well as our engineer, and looking at the engineering reports, speaking with AJ and others in the city. At this point, I'm thinking that our hold on the maintenance bond is quite dated, and frankly, we probably need to go ahead and release that maintenance bond today. I think the only ancillary thing left to discuss, and I've discussed with the attorney for Twilla, is the entrance to the trailhead, which there was some question about drainage over there, but they're going to do that. But beyond that, I don't think there's anything else that we can do in looking at maybe some of the fixes and some of the issues that are drainage out there that are related to the hold on his maintenance bond. So at this point, I'm going to recommend that the board vote to release the maintenance bond. The attorney for Twilla did indicate that he could come today. I told him if the board had questions, we could have him come to the next meeting, but I didn't know if you'd have any questions.
So just curious, what has been the major delay there in getting it,
Well,
to the point that we could consider releasing it?
So I needed to sort of peel back the onion and take a history lesson and a deep dive, because there was so much going on with development in the prior administrations. There were some intimations and exchanges of information and requests that were outside the public eye, sort of kind of cleaning up loose ends, talking about things that may or may not get done. One thing that was of interest to me was the Outlot A. There was some intimation at one point that would be deeded over to the city. I'm not sure we even want it, frankly, but in the meantime, somehow it was deeded to the homeowners association. In speaking with AJ and then subsequently to the engineer, it didn't seem like the original thoughts on what could be done on Outlot A would render the fix that we were thinking maybe at the time it would. So it doesn't seem like such a big issue anymore, but I wanted to, sort of confirm that. I'm told that the homeowners association would be happy as clams to deed that over to the city if we want it. That may be a discussion for future, but I'm not sure we do at this point. I mean, it's like a maintenance issue. So that was kind of the whole, just kind of trying to put all the pieces together. And it was a long, strange trip.
Okay. I know it took some time.
Yes.
We appreciate your due diligence on that. So I'll make a motion that we release the maintenance bond for Twilla Development.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Scott, seconded by Jamie. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We have a tag day request, Portage Township Food Pantry. Is anyone here from the food pantry? This isn't until September, so
Table
we
it.
probably should table it.
I'll make a motion to table the Portage Township Food Pantry request for a tag day in September.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to table the Township Food Pantry Tag Day for September. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. City Point Church at Founders Square, I believe that,
They actually requested to be removed from the agenda now.
so we don't have to table that, right, Dan? It's removed.
No, that's fine.
We have new business, special event request, Hooters.
Hello.
Hello.
We are organizing a swimsuit pageant for our state. It's going to be held in the Portage Hooters store, and we're just requesting permitting for the event.
You said for the state?
Yeah, so every state holds a swimsuit pageant for our brand, and the winner of the state goes to Florida to compete in the national competition.
And this is sponsored by Hooters?
Yep, Hooters of America.
Okay.
So Dan, is there anything that you want to say on that?
So the special events permits sort of fall under the ordinance for the noise ordinance, interestingly enough. But so it's incumbent upon the board to decide if they feel that the permit is reasonable to grant, since, and I don't know all the details of the event, but if the board were to decide to grant the permit, it has the discretion to do so. If the board were to decide not to grant the permit, the question becomes, does the withholding of that permit create an undue hardship upon the petitioner? Again, this is all under the noise ordinance. So that sounds like they're making the proper request. It's just a question of whether the board
I have a question,
Okay.
though. Well, first of all, that's not in a residential section.
No, and those are things that the board should take into consideration. Again, thank you, Steve, Member Sandy, because, you know, if somebody is requesting a permit for a special event, those are the kinds of things that we should probably consider, because it's a question of, are they gonna be creating noise, music? Our ordinance talks about ground shaking, reverberations from bands and all that kind of stuff. If it's sitting in the middle of a residential zone, then certainly we wouldn't want to consider the hardship on the petitioner by denial versus the hardship on the adjacent property owners by approval. This does set out a bit, it's in, you know, the north end.
Yes.
I have a question. You said this is a statewide event. You have expected number of participants, 150. Is that?
Participants, no. Contestants in it, we're expecting 35 contestants.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how many people are you expecting?
We're planning on selling 114 seats and allowing space for standing room beyond that. So I would say no more than 150 people.
What about parking? Because I'm just implying, because you have Longhorn to the right, you have the, what is it called, Bass Pro to the left. You don't want to be using their parking lot and letting them complain, you know, so.
We have a good relationship with all of our neighbors. Bass Pro, I spoke with them. I'm still working out the details to have our employees use their parking lot. We want to use as much of our parking lot for our attendants as possible. Also, the owners of that property, Holiday, they built our building 3 years ago. Great relationship with them. They have an overflow parking lot inside the complex that we're allowed to use. And we are also given permission to use the field adjacent to our building as well.
Have you done this in the past?
No, this is the first year for our store. It's usually held in our Indianapolis downtown location. We feel privileged to have to be the ambassadors of this year.
So you're going to have a big tent outside, and you're going to be under a tent?
There's definitely going to be one tent for the contestants as a changing room. We have reservations for a 60-foot by 40-foot tent in case of rain, with a 1-week cancellation through our rental company. So if the weather's looking good 1 week out, we're not going to use the tent. If the weather's not looking good, we're going to use the tent. They'll house the stage and the tables that we're renting as well.
And then you'll have a band out there, or you're just going to have like a DJ, or?
Correct, a DJ who's going to be more like an MC, not really playing a lot of music. The event is going to go from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Just out of curiosity, what do? They just come in and they walk around and people judge them, or how does that
Yes,
work?
we're going to have 5 judges. We're gonna have a stage that's going to have a catwalk, so you can just imagine like a fashion show, and they're going to be judged on appearance.
Now, he applied for this permit with you?
He requested just to get on the agenda.
Okay, now you have all the rules of, you have to have security there because of alcohol being served outside?
Yeah, Hooters legal team is I'm the general manager of the store, so I'm really just here. As soon as you issue a permit, the Hooters legal team will look over it and just kind of give me what all the parameters. But yeah, we're assuming security, we're assuming fencing, and then we're assumed to be done by 10 p.m. because noise ordinance, I assume go to 10 p.m. on the weekends. I'm not sure though.
So your permit requested to 11 p.m.
That's probably just the event is scheduled to end at 10 p.m. with the winners being announced at 9:45 and ending. I'm sure they're just accounting for any
Clean
overflow.
up and get out.
So Mayor, our ordinance speaks to music and loud gatherings and parties. It really talks to the hours of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. It sounds like this isn't going to fall within that, time period. I would suggest if the board were inclined to grant this permit, that they do so contingent, obviously, upon compliance with all state and local laws. They're serving alcohol and all that, so they're going to want to, and maybe also the security be on site.
Are there any COVID restrictions going to be in June like that, or is it all released, or?
I would say probably they'll be released if they're gonna be outside
Yeah, that's what.
and they can space appropriate distances. Are you requiring masks?
I mean, it depends on what we're going to fall in line with any compliance. But as far as the company goes, we just recently got direction to just follow any state regulations. So we're not going to require masks if the state doesn't. If the state requires masks, then we will follow that.
Okay. You can make the motion.
God bless.
Oh,
Well, we'll need a motion to move forward with the Hooters.
I make a motion to go ahead with the special event request by Hooters Restaurant in Portage for June 5th, 2021 for their swimsuit contest.
I'd suggest
I'd just like to add to that motion if I may.
State, local.
Oh, upon state, local
Regulations.
regulations,
Okay. Yep.
city regulations.
Yep.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Steve, seconded by Scott. Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right. So
Thank you for being here and explaining everything.
Oh yeah, of course. So what are next? Can I ask what next steps are? Do I just have to just have my legal team reach out for permitting?
Yeah, you have to reach out to the clerk treasurer's office.
Got it. Thank you for your time.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good luck.
We have the 1970 Marine Drive sidewalk and curb waiver request.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members. Before you for your consideration this morning, our request for both sidewalk and curb waiver at 1970 Marine Drive. If it is your pleasure to approve, it would be staff's recommendation to approve the sidewalk waiver agreement with an amount of $15,720, and for the curb waiver, an amount of $9,825. For everybody's kind of locational interest, this is Marine Drive north of Old Porter Road on the west side of the street. They've recently they've been before the Plan Commission for approval to operate a contractor yard on the property.
So AJ, this fee is, basically, they're not gonna have to put the sidewalks in.
Yes, in lieu of installation of curb and sidewalk, they would be paying this fee to the city of Portage.
There's not sidewalks on other
No, sir.
adjacent properties?
No, sir.
And according to this, they'll never be able to put sidewalks there, correct?
Well, we in the future may decide to reconstruct Marine Drive, and that would be a city-borne project. By paying into this, they would be waiving any future responsibility for that.
Okay. Is this typical for this type of business, AJ?
Well, it's more, I think, more related to the location of the request, and you know, our improvements in that area. I think it would have more. I think the decisions of the board are often more related to location than typical, sort of.
If it's where I think it is, it's typically a pretty high industrial type of environment.
This is an area of some mixed uses. We have some older mobile home communities in that area. However, yeah, there's a transition to some light industrial operations, and this area near our wastewater treatment plant, and then some of the trucking operations along Douglas Drive.
And you feel comfortable with these waivers?
I am, yes.
Okay.
So you don't feel that there's ever going to be a need for pedestrian?
There may
Foot
be a
traffic.
need in the future for pedestrian facilities in that area, but at this time, I don't foresee that in any near term.
Okay.
All right, with that said, I'll make a motion to approve the waivers for both curb and sidewalk at 1970 Marine Drive, curb waiver at $9,825, and sidewalk waiver $15,720.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the curb and sidewalk waivers for 1970 Marine Drive. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. There you go. So AJ, I see I have one of these that's a stamped copy.
Yes.
Is that one that I need to be signing,
We-
or
we've-
they're all
we've,
stamped?
Mayor, we've filled out a couple for you, so
Okay.
if we could get your signature after the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay. We have the Community Crossings Grant Agreement.
Yes, and Madam Mayor, members, before you for your consideration is a grant agreement for the Community Crossings Matching Grant. Earlier this year, we were awarded $1 million through the grant program by the state of Indiana. This will be matched by a number of local sources to meet the 50% local match requirement. It would be staff's recommendation to approve this agreement.
Is this the same discussion that took place at the council meeting, AJ?
Which one do you want to talk
Yeah,
about
I
at the
mean-
council meeting?
No, I mean the same agreement that was brought up.
I don't know if this was part of the agenda at the last meeting. I'm not sure.
I think you just alluded to it in your report.
I may have.
So, yeah, this is very standard language, correct? Have you
I believe so. I would ask if Attorney Witten has not yet reviewed it, but I believe this is standard and very consistent with past agreements in this program.
I think that's correct, AJ. I have reviewed this, and it is standard.
Okay. Based on the fact that Community Development Department has secured another $1 million, and that the attorney has reviewed this agreement, I make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Scott, seconded by Jamie, to approve the Community Crossings Agreement, the matching grant agreement. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Is that for Hamstrom and McCool? Is that what this one is? Is this?
It is. Will be, if I could, we've advertised those projects and are set to open them at this meeting, this board's meeting on May 25th.
Our city is going to be busy getting new roads this summer.
It's good. Good things are happening.
Yeah. So we have the interlocal agreement with the city of Hobart.
I'll speak to that real quick, Mayor. So what you have in front of you is something that we received from the city attorney over at Hobart. This has to do with the improvements to County Line Road from Route 6 to Cleveland Avenue. It's an interlocal agreement between the two cities. The financial burden falls to Hobart. What we're really, if we approve this agreement, what we're really agreeing to do is two things. One is to give them access to the road. It's County Line Road, falls, partly in our area, to do the improvements that they need to do to the road. The financial obligation would be, in my reading of this agreement, is if we requested some upgrades to the projects that are solely to Porter County's benefit, we would have some financial burden. But beyond that, this agreement doesn't bind us to financial commitment. It really is just an agreement to allow them to do work and give them access on our part of the road.
So I just maybe defer to AJ. Are there any plans for any upgrades when this is being done that would create a financial burden?
No, I don't believe so, Member Williams. As part of the project, they will be and have worked through our Parks Department on the trail crossing at the Prairie du Lin Trail and County Line Road.
Okay.
So they have taken that step to work that out with our Portage Parks and Recreation Department. So there will be some new construction associated with that trail. But as for the rest of the city of Portage, you know, the city's deferred to the city of Hobart's plans for construction. And really, as you look at that on the east side of County Line Road, there's not a lot of room to make a lot of the additional improvements.
Yeah.
And so we're working right now with some of the adjacent property owners to resolve some of the matters that they're facing as a result of this construction project. But to answer your question related to what we may or may not do, the plans that the city of Hobart has put forth are solid.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So my suggestion to the board would be to approve this agreement, and I can get it back to Hobart.
I'll make a motion, we approve the interlocal agreement between the City of Hobart and the City of Portage.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Scott, to approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Hobart. Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Dan. We have bulk item appeals.
I just have one for your review on, in the 6600 block of Portage Avenue, we did my mistake, charged this resident a $25 bulk fee. I'm recommending the board to overturn that charge of $25.
I'll make a
And the reason
motion
for your recommendation, I missed that.
My recommendation to the board is to overturn that charge of $25 to 6680 Portage Avenue.
I'll make a motion, we waive the fee to 6680 Old Porter Avenue.
I'll second it.
Did you say Old Porter Avenue
I'm
or
sorry.
Portage Avenue?
Portage Avenue.
Portage Avenue,
If
okay.
I'm-
We have a motion and a second to dismiss the charges to 6680 Portage Avenue.
Correct.
Are there any further discussion, any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Randy. We have the claims. Did everyone get a chance to review the claims? I did have a question, Nina, on the leaf. It would be on page 3, down at the bottom. There are 3 charges from leaf, and those are leases in the amount of,
They're for the copy machines and for the firewall access points that we've been paying on since last year.
Right.
It was a 3-year.
so we have to pay those.
Contract.
Is that a,
We pay monthly.
okay. Okay, are there any other questions on the claims? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims of $240,868.16.
I'll make a motion, we approve the claims in the amount of $240,868.16.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Steve. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have major illness claims. Do we have any, Dan?
I don't believe we have any today, Mayor.
Well, that's good.
Oh.
Thank you.
Please help.
You like the way we treat Randy when he doesn't have it?
Yeah.
So we do have some other business to come before the board. I don't have those on the agenda, so Dan, would you?
Certainly, Mayor, and sorry about the late notice on this one. It sort of just dawned on me that maybe the Board of Works, and now I think certainly the Board of Works needs to entertain it. There has been previously a joint employment agreement between the Portage Schools and the city by and through its utility department, Utility Services Board. And I believe that the Utility Services Board has decided rightfully that this is not really a Utility Services Board thing. So this addendum is something that was received over from the Portage Township Schools to sort of move the party and interest from the Utility Services Board to the city. I don't believe it changes any other terms of the agreement, but it's a marketing person that the two entities split. So I think that since the city of Portage is becoming the actual party, that it would be appropriate to have the Board of Works approve it.
I'll make a motion, we approve the addendum to the joint employment agreement.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the addendum to the joint employment agreement with the schools. I have a question on that, Dan.
Yes.
What is the amount that we would be paying?
I think it's
$15,000.
$7,500 twice
Twice
a
a
year. So I think we split that. I'm not sure the split because I don't remember.
It's $7,500 each time.
Okay.
For us, Nina? Okay.
So it's 30,000 total?
No,
No,
15.
15.
My math is not very good.
It's okay.
So this will not be a budget constraint?
It wasn't budgeted for.
So what are
It
we gonna-
wasn't budgeted, Scott, because it went through storm, I believe. And when we had our stormwater board meeting, we felt that didn't belong in stormwater. It's like, doesn't belong there.
I think it was actually sanitation.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I understand that, but what budget line item we're gonna take this out of? Debbie's over there shaking her head. She's the budget chair.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for months, actually, because it's something that we've always done with the school, and I think a partnership with the school. We're working more and more with them on projects, so I think it's good relationship for the city to have with the school.
$15,000 that was covered by storm, and now it's not,
Yeah.
Sanitary.
that we now have to fund it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Councilperson Podolsky. I just like to know where the money's gonna come from. If we're gonna be fiscally responsible, and we've done a great job all year, a wonderful job, and I think we need to continue in that vein.
Well, the council's gonna need to approve an additional appropriation to cover the cost of the police contract, so an additional could be included to include that amount.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow that.
An additional appropriation.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question, Member Williams, is I guess that is yet to be determined. The council will have to appropriate the funds.
I would move to table this till we know, I know we have a motion on the floor.
A motion to table does in fact take precedence, so if you're making a motion to table, then it comes up first.
I make a motion to table till we know exactly where the funding is going to be appropriated, the 15,000. I'm not against the position. Please don't misunderstand me. I just want to be fiscally responsible, as I'm sure all of us do.
We have a motion by Scott. Do we have a second to table? No, we don't have a motion.
And then the motion to table dies for lack of a second.
Okay. So then do we have a motion to approve?
If you go back to the motion on the floor, Madam Chairman, there's a motion and a second, I believe.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying
Can we
aye.
call a roll on this, Madam Mayor?
Yes. Nina, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Lynch.
Yes.
Member Lewis.
Yes.
Member Sonity.
Yes.
Member Williams.
No.
And Madam Mayor, one other thing that I have for the board, I was under the impression that we would be hearing a step 3 grievance today. I'm not sure, maybe there was some confusion with the communication between myself and the union, but in any case, we have a grievance from the street department that the union was bringing, step 3 for the board's consideration. I would ask maybe we set this over then to our next meeting, and I'll advise the union to be here for that. That's all I have.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Is that going to require a motion to table?
No, because it wasn't even on the agenda.
Thank you.
So, what about the collective bargaining agreement?
So we will, we're not done with the streets, and we're not done with storm or sanitary, and the police will be coming in front of this board. I don't think you guys have it in front of you.
The police was already
Is
done.
it done?
Police are done.
Police are done.
Yeah, we don't have any other.
Okay.
We did the police on May 4th, right?
Yes.
That's right. That's right. I'm sorry. There's too many of them.
I know.
I'm losing track. But the other two are not quite ready, Madam Mayor. I'm hopeful that maybe by the time we get to our next Board of Works meeting, maybe the streets will be there. I think that with respect to the utility, storm, and sanitary, they've not yet voted to ratify the sort of final proposal or final draft. I think they will be for our next meeting for consideration.
So is there any other business to come before the board? Randy?
Yes, Madam Mayor. We have some time-sensitive information here with South Shore Clean Cities. They are developing our grant program for our CNG, and there was a document I submitted Friday. I was hoping it would have been on the agenda, but it's fine. I was going to explain to you, South Shore Clean City is writing our CNG program grant. It's a potential of $625,000 grant. The quote for writing that grant is $5,000. I do have it within the sanitation budget for those funds, so I'm asking the board to approve this quote, $5,000 for writing the grant of the potential of $625,000 worth of grant money, and either give permission to the mayor to sign off on that quote or myself after legal review of council. Any questions on that?
Who is the grant writer?
Ryan Liskitz. Ryan Liskitz? That's-
Ryan, yeah,
yes.
Ryan's with South Shore Clean Cities.
Oh, okay. And he would enter into a contract, a contract with the city then?
Yes,
Or with-
through South Shore Clean Cities, yes.
Did the Board of Works, because I did get a copy of that, did you get a copy of that, Scott?
Did anybody else get a copy? No?
I sent it to Friday, copy.
To where? To our city email?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
Well, no, I did not copy you.
Oh, you didn't copy me.
I was hoping it would have been on the agenda, so,
Did you send it into the clerk's office?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's not-
Well, then need to make sure that the board members get that, please.
You sent it Friday, you said?
Yes, Friday at 10:45 a.m.
This is time sensitive because there's a grant deadline, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
there is.
And when is that deadline?
I believe that's June 1st for submission.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the $5,000 upon the attorney's review of the agreement between the grant writer and the city. And if our attorney believes that his contract agreement, is in order, that we move forward. It's a lot of money to put at risk.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Scott, seconded by Steve, to move forward with the South Shore Clean Cities grant for new garbage vehicles, but this is specifically for the writing of the grant only. And Randy's going to fund that $5,000 out of his budget.
Out of sanitation, yes.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Is there any other business to come before the board? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.